as well. Okay. So once again, Battle for Democracy. This is our campaign where we are training our neighborhood captains. The question that was asked around GCC, GCC, Greater Cleveland Congregations, is a network of 32 member institutions across Cuyahoga County. GCC is a part of an international network known as the Industrial Areas Foundation, which have over 70 affiliates in North America, Europe, and Australia. Those actual affiliates are also broken up into regions, and our region is the Metro IAF region, and that region consists of 22 cities east of the Mississippi. And so your organization is a part of a larger network that has decades of experience around building power and social justice. And this time, this moment that we have right now here in GCC is focusing on voter electoral strategies, engagement, and having deep conversations with voters to help shape our work. So they not only are a part of the Battle for Democracy campaign, they are shaping the campaign. And so I'm going to share my screen now, and we're going to talk about exactly, let's see, what we've done, what we want to do, and what we're going to do. So I'll start from. So our Battle for Democracy campaign, from the months of May through September, we knocked on a total of 1,086 doors. We had 385 conversations in the neighborhoods of Central, Fairfax, Lee Harvard, Mount Pleasant, and Slavic Village. Why those doors? Why those conversations? Why those neighborhoods? The doors, we knew that in the past, GCC had been able to knock on 10,000 doors in 2012, over 15,000 in 2016. And in 2020, we weren't able to knock on doors at all, but we did have 285 volunteers make over 13,000 contacts to individuals who vote by mail applications was rejected. And we believe that we were able to help over 7,000 voters get their ballots, their applications corrected, and that they were able to vote in the 2020 election. But due to COVID, we knew it was important to go back and reach out to voters, and we wanted to increase and go back to the work at the doors. But we also knew what was important was that during this time we had to be safe. And so the goal had to be realistic, the goal had to be safe, and the goal had to be targeted. So the goal was 3 door knocks in those 5 neighborhoods, 1,000 doors, 350 conversations. So we met the goal. And not only did we meet the goal, we went slightly over the goal, which is always a good thing as well. The conversations, if you look at it, you might say 1,086 doors and 385 conversations. Well, these are not conversations that you may be aware of in traditional, get out to vote or, voting strategies that are partisan. We are nonpartisan. And so the conversations at the doors was about the voter. And it was, can we build a relationship with the voter at the door based off of things they want to see, not who they're voting for, but what they wanted to see change in their neighborhoods, because that connects to what we discussed around voter depression, where it's a registered voter who is acting on their right to vote, but because they're not seeing the results of that vote, they're not going back to vote. And so these conversations were centered around 2 things. One, how were they at this time, this difficult moment? How did COVID-19 impact them? Were they vaccinated? Did they need information around vaccinations? And then the other piece was around voting. And if they were elected mayor, what would be the number one thing that they would change in their neighborhood? And that number one thing ranged across the board, and I'll share a little bit about that. But this was a 12 to 15 minute conversation at the door, not a 2 to 3 minute conversation, strictly asking who were they going to vote for and that we appreciated their time. This was really having a one-on-one back and forth conversation. So that 385 is equated to thousands of minutes, over 3,000 minutes of time, really talking to voters and residents inside those key neighborhoods. And those key neighborhoods, Central, Fairfax, Lee Harvard, Mount Pleasant, and Slavic Village, were neighborhoods where GCC member institutions are currently in, particularly in the city of Cleveland, and wanted to have deeper relationships and really hear what their neighbors and what their congregation could be a part of to help shape this next election. So let's think about that voter depression and the impact that it has had on voter turnout. In 2017, if you look, this is the primary number for the 2017 election, literally 4 years ago. The two candidates who won that election, because Cleveland has a nonpartisan primary, meaning it does not matter what party they are affiliated. It is which of the top two candidates get the most votes to progress to the general. Now, in some cities, even outside of Cleveland, they have partisan primaries where it has to be the top two of those actual parties. But in Cleveland, we have a nonpartisan primary, meaning it does not matter your party. The top two of that campaign in 2017 was the incumbent Frank Jackson, and then the second was Zach Reed. They got a total of around about 20,000 votes, and the voter turnout for the 2017 election was 33,542. This was 13% turnout of the voting population. And if you look at the numbers, the margins are not that large. If you look between the incumbent Frank Jackson and Zach Reed, the margin is roughly over 5,000. If you look at the margin between Jeff Johnson and Zach Reed, the margin is roughly over 2,000. So when people say one vote doesn't count in Cleveland, and in particularly local elections, one vote can mean everything. And particularly if you look at the fact that we have 17 wards, what's really crucial to look at this information is that that's roughly over 100 or so, that can really, 170, almost 200, that can really shape elections. And this is where we saw that it is around voter depression. Because if people felt that they could actually make a difference and then see that difference, they would go to the polls. And so we decided to target those 5 key neighborhoods to really see if we can make an impact and increase voter turnout. Now let's look at the 2017 general. That we focused on the key neighborhoods in which we're in. Lee Harvard, Fairfax, Central, Slavic Village, and Slavic Village alone, because Slavic Village and Central, similar to like Mount Pleasant and Lee Harvard, they border each other. So there are some similarities in terms of their numbers. But let's look at that general. The total voter turnout at that point was 62,000. Look down here, was 62,000 in terms of the voter turnout for the general, not even double the amount of the primary. But more importantly, let's look at voter turnout in the key neighborhoods in which we're targeting. 33% for Lee Harvard, 29% for Fairfax Ward 4, 15% for Central, and then Ward 12, 21%. And so those numbers in terms of the 2017 general turnout is something that we're going to look at heavily come the general election for November 2nd. And your role as captain is to see if we can bump these numbers up, because the registered voters are there. So if you look at, for instance, let's look at Central. There were at 2017, 12,337 people registered to vote in that area. That is people who acted on their voter right, who registered to vote. But if you look at the turnout, not even 2,000 people turned out to vote. So that's what that 15% comes from. So we're going to be looking at what those numbers look like in 2021 and why it's important for us to be on the ground, building relationships and hearing what they want, so we can ensure that the next mayor of Cleveland not only hears them and want their vote, but actually act on the vote. Now let's look at 2021 primary. In 2021 primary, once again, nonpartisan, so it does not matter if they're in the same party. The top two candidates here, Justin Bibb, Kevin Kelly. Now, there is not an incumbent running in this election. So this will be the first time in 16 years that Cleveland will get a new mayor. The margin, if you see that here, the 10,635 and then 7,597, that margin is slightly above 3,000 votes. And even if you look further down between Kevin Kelly and Dennis Kucinich, that margin is little over 1,000. The voter turnout total was 39,187. So a slight increase of 15%. Now we're gonna look and see if it's some of those neighborhoods that we targeted, Central, Fairfax, Slavic Village, Mount Pleasant, Lee Harvard, had an increase. And we canvassed those neighborhoods and we canvassed those precincts. So there seems to be some momentum building. But more importantly, it is look at the margins and how many people it takes to actually shape and turn out an election. So your role of neighborhood captain is really important because you will be a part of help shape the outcomes of this elections for who the voters want for them. Once again, we're nonpartisan. This is not about who takes the office of mayor. It is about the mayor's office. Who is going to act, who is going to commit, and who is going to work with neighborhoods, and particularly neighborhoods who are voicing their concerns and turning out their votes because they want to see a change. So our goal was 5,000. Our team made this goal before even seeing the margin of the 2021 primary election. And if you look at that number 5,000, that number of voter contacts is going to make a significant impact on the outcome of the election. So we need 100 captains, and we want each of those 100 captains to make 50 contacts. Now, I know that some congregations are taking one person 50 and they are given a team of 10. We understand that that is a way particularly that can work, but let's not forget the target, because if we want to contact 5,000 voters and increase voter turnout, we all know just based off of turnout, and even if we throw a party or an event, who we contact is not always who shows up. And so it is really important that we make these contacts of 5,000 because we know that the estimate turnout is roughly going to be about half, so 2,500, which is also significantly important in this election. We want to work with 8 to 10 city congregations out of 4 to 5 wards. And here are those congregations in Central, Shiloh, St. John, and Trinity, in Fairfax, Antioch, St. James, EME, Olivet, East Mount Zion, which is a prospective congregation that we've been working with, Lee Harvard, Affinity, and Lee Road, Mount Pleasant, St. Peter's, AME Zion, and Slavic Village, Elizabeth Baptist Church. As we said, we're going to contact 50 mid to low propensity and seniors. We also want to make sure that seniors know that there are a variety of ways that they can vote, but we also want to work with those mid to low propensity voters who may not otherwise vote. And so your conversation with them, your time with them will be important and will be crucial to help shape the power that we can build as this organization with voters on election day. 5 key neighborhoods, 5 contacts per voter. So there will be 5 contacts. This is what we mean by building a relationship. Similar to when we did door knocking, it's not the traditional 2 to 3 minute, will you vote for this person and moving on? It's really building a relationship. We're going to have 5 contacts with voters just to ensure that they actually know their voting options, that they can voice their voting concerns, and that they will also go and vote. And so you will have an introductory call, a follow-up phone call on the voting plan, handwritten short message on a postcard. The GCC will provide both the postcard, the mailing envelope, and postage for you to share. A thank you call or an election day get out the vote call. So if they voted by the contact, fourth contact, you're gonna thank them, say, I heard you voted, just wanted to make sure, if you knew any friends or other family members who not, you get them to the polls on election day, thank you. If they haven't voted by election day, you can say, do you know your polling place? Are you available do you need a ride? Do you need support to get on, to get to the polls? And then after the election, you're gonna call them, even if the one already voted. I just want to thank you again. Did you have any questions about your vote? I'm glad that you voted. How was your polling place, or how was the experience voting by mail? How was early voting at the Board of Elections? This is just to confirm once again that they voted. And so that is what you will be doing at this particular time. It is really around us building power to see if we can work with voters to help address the issue of voter depression. Now, connected to that is that on October 7th, we're going to have an action with both mayoral candidates who have confirmed that they will attend at 7 p.m. This will be a virtual action. And so while you're also contacting voters, you're acting on the issues in which they brought forward to us that they want to see change. So I'll pause there and ask if there's any questions about the outline I just showed you regarding our neighborhood capture strategy, the purpose, the actions we're going to take, and the strategies we're going to use to increase voter turnout.
Is we will receive a script. Okay, and is that going to be in our email?
Yes, so I'll walk through the script. And so that would be the next portion after this piece, and then we'll walk through the script.
Okay.
And then you will also have time to go back into breakout groups to kind of role play the script out a little bit with each other.
Okay.
Any questions about the outline, the purpose, the why? We'll get to the what in a minute, but the why. Any questions around the why? How are you all feeling about it? I'm curious. Take yourself off mute.
I was a little surprised when I learned that you were making 5 contacts, having made political phone calls in campaigns. I know that people can get irritated.
Yep.
But I'm open to this process. I'm excited to try it, and I think, I know somebody is asking about the script because we're curious about how you're going to broach this, and I'm looking forward to it and excited.
Great. You will have different scripts for the week you contact. So contact 1 is the script that I'm going to walk through, but then you will have a different and shorter contact for contact 2. Postcard is 3, 4 is a thank you or get out to vote on election day. And then 5 is just to confirm that they voted and if they have any other questions. So this one is the most detailed one because it's your introductory contact. The other thing to take note of is that those 5 contacts is with the same voter, and you're reintroducing yourself and establishing your relationship with that voter. So it is very important that that first contact, you're letting them know that, look, I'm doing this because I'm really excited to work with the congregations in the city of Cleveland, because we know that voting does matter, and we see in Cleveland that it can. What I'm going to walk through you is called a script, but think of it as a guide. It is a guide to build a relationship. So if you see that voter having some questions, or they don't quite understand it, or the script doesn't embody who you are, own it as your own and be able to shape that based off the relationship you're trying to build with this voter. All right, let's get into the actual script. share my screen again here. You will notice that on the actual script, there are codes. So for instance, this is Ward 6 Turf 5. This it'll have when it was generated. So this was generated. Have people and doors. So this particular is the outline of the actual script. And so what you will have is the Canvas result key. And so the Canvas result key has not home, refused, deceased, moved, callback, busy, left message, wrong number, disconnected. There was a language barrier, or if it was a, like you say, like a hostile caller. And this one, that means extremely, meaning either
Sure.
they made threats or they did something that just really felt. It's not that someone just said, you know what, I don't feel like talking right now, call me back. That's not hostile. And so that is extreme. So you're gonna say hi, you're gonna have their name, you're gonna say your name with your local congregation and Greater Cleveland congregation. Now, what's important to know about this neighborhood captain strategy is that it is not just for City of Cleveland residents or for individuals who worship in City of Cleveland congregations. You're also welcoming county residents and suburban area residents from congregations that are in the suburbs, because it's really important that as we're building this work, as Keisha stated, it will go from Cleveland into the county and maybe one day even the state. And so it's really important that we all be a part of this and all help to shape what's happening here. Now, what you can do, this is Ward 6. And so this is in Fairfax area. You would say your name, you'll say your congregation, and then you can also say you would get a list of the congregations that are in that ward. So for instance, Fairfax, Antioch, Olivet, we're working together with Greater Cleveland congregations. We talked to several of your neighbors this summer about what they want to see in the city of Cleveland. Are you currently satisfied, unsatisfied, or uncertain how the city of Cleveland is right now? They say satisfied, it's an S, undecided or don't know, it's a U, not satisfied or unsatisfied, it's an M. What is the main reason that you responded the way you did to the question above? This is where you want to hear, like, why are they not satisfied, or why they are, or why they uncertain. And then you're going to say, so the second thing I want to talk to you about is voting. Thank you for being a registered voter. How do you feel about voting? Do you always vote, sometimes vote, or don't vote? This is really important because this is us getting at that voter depression question. They already registered to voting and we're thanking them for being a registered voter. But we want to know, how do they actually vote? Do they sometimes vote? Because that could be someone who only votes in presidential elections or, every 8 years or what have not, but we really know, or they don't vote at all. And this person is really concerning because we don't want them to be purged from the voting files. And so we really want to capture that and make sure that we're capturing that in full detail. For the upcoming Cleveland mayoral election, November 2nd, on a scale of 0 to 5, where 0 is absolutely sure you won't vote, 5 is absolutely sure you will, and in between is some uncertainty, where would you put yourself? So you would ask them, why does that number feel right to you? Now, if you canvass with us over the summer, the scale is 0 through 10. Well, because on the grid, when we were taking notes, that made it extremely longer. So this also captures where it's at just as effectively. So you would have to train yourself to say 0 through 5, not 0 through 10. Okay. Why does that number feel right to you? This is not telling them what number they should have. This is asking them, why does the number feel right to them? A non-voter or undecided or hesitant 0 through 4, we want, after they say why that feels right to them, we want you to either share a meaningful experience or something that you had that caused you to vote or help you to vote, similar to that battle for democracy story you shared in your one-on-one. And then here's some key tips or things that you can say to help with that conversation. When our whole community votes and when we vote in every election, that's when we win. In the city of Cleveland, some elections are determined by less than 10 votes. In order to get the trust and the issues impacting us, we not only have to vote, but vote together. GCC knocked on 1,100 doors and had 400 conversations with residents like you. We heard the need for change like city services, senior housing, home repair, gun violence, and youth activities like opening pools in the summer. Is there anything you would like to add to the list, or does this touch on what you feel as well? Say yes or no. And if yes, ask them, what is it? Now, if the person is a 5, you don't need to have that component of this conversation. The person is a 5, you want to know what motivates them, what gets them to the polls, what's an experience. And the two of you are able to share voting experiences. Remember, this is about building a relationship, not just simply getting the questions answered, moving to the next caller, because you're going to call this person back and you're going to have a second contact. So having this interchange around voting together is helping to create that rapport with the voter and helping them to see that you also are sharing things about yourself as well. In Cleveland, there are many ways to vote. You can vote early at the BOE, vote by mail, or vote in person on election day. Have you decided which one feels right to you? If so, which? If they say no, they haven't decided, you circle that. That's N. V, they will vote early at the Board of Elections. M, they will vote by mail. And then E, they will vote on election day. Do you need any information on the ways of voting? Yes or no? Are you also an email person? What's your email address? And you say, thank you so much for sharing and taking the time to talk to me. I look forward to connecting with you again. And that is the end of contact 1. Any questions regarding the script? And take yourself off mute.
Kalila, this is Keisha. So on the question where you had asking them how they like to vote, and if they say none of the above, well, I guess these are registered voters, so.
Yes.
But if they say no, what's the thinking about a follow-up question for that?
Yeah,
Like
so
if they say none of the above.
contact 2 would be like, thank you, it was good talking to you. No, just wanted to follow up. I know when I talked to you before, you didn't identify a way that you wanted to vote. Is that still the same, or have you changed your mind? If so, what's the way you're going to vote? So it's following up on the voting plan. That's what contact 2 is for all of the voters. Even if they say vote by mail, contact 2 is following up, have they took steps or acted on their voting plan?
Okay, so that makes sense. So this one, we're just trying to get a sense of it. We're not having a conversation about that particular area until contact 2.
Yes.
All right, because that's the voter plan discussion. Got it.
So, so one of the options here is if somehow they give you, they're not there or whatever, and they give you an opportunity to leave a message.
Yes.
Is there a script that you have for leaving a message?
Yes, so you will have a message script. And so we will have that attached. It is different because there is a different data point for leave message, but you also can create your own as a guide, but we will have a phone leave message and in a text, because some people will say, you know, I'm more of a text person. Can you send me a text? So we will have a phone script and a text script.
Will it be an attempt to still reach that person as call number 1 after that, or not really?
Yeah, so that still counts as call number 1. And then your call 2, you will say, hi, I called and left a message. And the key question that we want to make sure that we get from everyone is the satisfaction around Cleveland question. So this question, are you currently satisfied? Because we want to hear why or why not, or why they're uncertain around that. And then we'll go into the voting plan conversation. So the 2 key things to capture from this voter is their satisfaction in the city of Cleveland, and then what's their voting plan for November 2nd. Any other questions?
When you get their emails, if they ask you, why do you need my email? How do we respond?
You can say, I will send you information around actions or events that we're having to address the issues that we heard in your neighborhood. So we are only calling individuals in the neighborhoods in which we canvass and have GCC member institutions. So if we are sending them an email, is to update them on our October 7th action, to update them on if the mayoral candidates act on the issues that they address, is also to ask them if they want to be a part of the work And so it's to keep them abreast around what's happening from the office of the mayor in their particular neighborhood.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So Kalila, I'm assuming that we're going to be keeping a record of responses for all of our 50 people. And then are we giving them these responses to you? I mean, are we sending it back to GCC, all these responses?
Yeah, so you will have a pickup date for the packet. And so the packets can be picked up from Elizabeth Baptist Church. And there you will get an outline of the form to upload the information. And so we are currently working with Ohio Voices, who have an electronic version of how to upload the data information. But if we have individuals who have tech issues, we also have hard copies available for people to invoice the information. And those are weekly pickups and drop offs. So you would pick it up 1 week, you would have it for a week. And then when you return it, you will get your contact too. And so we have that as a strategy for the interaction. If any of you worked with us in 2016, voter registration, or 2012, you would pick up your packet, you would go, and then you would drop it off at the office. Is similar to that approach, where we will have a pickup strategy, safe, social distance, mask on, you would get the information, you will have it for a week, and then you would bring it back.
So Kalila, just to confirm, we have 5 contacts with each person. We're going to be going to Elizabeth Baptist Church 5 times.
Yeah,
No
so
matter-
you will actually go 4 times. The third time is a postcard. So there is nothing that you need to return back to Elizabeth. You will just state that you dropped off your postcard. So it will just be an electronic file that you email to us, saying all of your key people do that. Now we are working on electronic way to do this, and we're working with Ohio Voices. They are working with us to see if there's a way that we can do it in a way where it's email only for those who do not need hard copies. So we are working on that, and we should have that information back from them by Monday.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank
We
you.
want the goal is to have the packets ready for pickup by Wednesday, September 29th.
Okay.
And that's where you would make contact 1.
So September 29th it begins week 1.
Yes, and so that is 1 week prior to early voting starting. And so we want to ensure to capture the early voting individuals as well. What we were concerned about, if we waited until October, we might have missed some voters. And so let's do it 1 week prior to the early voting. Now, we are still recruiting captains, and we still need captains. So it is very important, if you know someone that you believe would be a great neighborhood captain, we ask that you invite them. We will have another training on Saturday, October 2nd at 10 a.m. We are working on a Wednesday evening training that we would get out to you all this weekend, either by tomorrow. We're just confirming the time. But we do know that October 2nd at 10 a.m.
And the results key, one of the choices is callback.
Yes.
If that, is that based on the person saying, can you call me back? Or,
Yes, that's based on the person saying, can you call me back? Or if they don't have a voice message machine. So you're telling yourself, I need to call this person back.
okay. I mean, would that not also apply to not home or busy? I mean,
Yes. So that I would put both CB, and if it's busy, CB, because you do want to call the person back. Not home is also if a person tells you that the person you're asking for is not home, and then you're like, well, let me call the person back. That's important as well. If you're not able to leave a message of any sort, I would call the person back for contact 1.
I have a question about the pickup strategy.
Yes.
At Elizabeth Baptist Church. Now, this is for the captains to go to Elizabeth Baptist Church to pick up, what are we picking up?
So that you will get this script and your 50 contacts. And so the people will
Okay.
contact. Now, I do understand that with, for instance, Antioch, we can coordinate if there is one person who would pick up your packets and take them to Antioch, because you may feel comfortable picking them up from Antioch. But we just wanted to have one central location for
Sure.
individuals in case that did not work. But
Okay.
we are looking at those options. But right now, Elizabeth, our team will be there. We have a couple of volunteers who will be there throughout the course of the day to deliver packets or to hand packets to the actual captains.
No problem. And what did you say the time was for pickup?
The time will be from 10 to, I believe we have people there up until 6.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Hey, Kalila, will some of the packets be like sent electronically if people want that? Or
Yes,
are
so
they-
they'll be given the option. I believe Ashley's off of the call, who's been working with Ohio Voices. So everyone who registered and who's been trained, you will get an email by Monday to say, if you are interested in picking up a packet, please sign up for a slot so we'll know when time you're coming, or if you want it electronic, the best email address to send it to you. So you will get the option. You'll also get the phone script and the text script, text/email script as well.
Okay.
How do we register as captains? You said we have to be
You've
registered.
already registered by coming to the training. So
Okay.
our Zoom, when each of you registered for the Zoom call.
Mhm.
And so because of that, we have your name and your email address, and I believe you put your congregation as well with the registration. So we have that information, and so you will get the emails.
Actually, I didn't do a separate registration. Do you want me to do something?
Yeah, yes.
Yes, if you can register, I mean, I'm going to know the two of you, I'll take note.
Okay.
You can still do that now, currently, if you have another device to register yourself.
Okay,
And
okay.
it'll just say join meeting in progress,
Yeah.
but that would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay,
Teresa, for
will
that.
do.
So, Ms. Kalila, are you going to send this recording out again, like you said to us as well? We'll get a recording
Absolutely.
of this. Okay,
You will
thank you.
get the PowerPoint presentation, you
Okay,
will get the sample script, and then you will also get the recording.
okay, thank you.
I'm gonna stop sharing here.
But will say for Antioch group, will they pick up at Antioch or have to go to Elizabeth Baptist as well?
I will talk to Reverend Cruz, who's been, just honestly,
contact,
just the
okay.
leader of our Battle for Democracy team
Okay,
for Antioch. I will contact him to see if he's able to get the captain package for those who desire to have hard copies. I will see if he'll be able to pick those up and
Okay.
have them for you all at Antioch.
thank you.
So the other thing in terms of building relationships collectively, we will have weekly check-in calls. It does seem as though that the Saturdays morning does work. And so we will look into that. And we ask that you're able to come in and join us and share how your week went, any experiences, things we might need to consider or take into consideration. As we said, the goal is around actually having that contact with 5,000. If we feel that our list, the phone numbers, the contacts are not allowing us to reach the goals, you can say, can I get 10 more? Because I have 10 people on my list that I'm just not able to contact or not able to get in touch with, and I really want to make the impact. I think we will also continue to do more frequent check-ins, and we're working with the team for those who can't do it on Saturdays, to have it during the week, because we do want to acknowledge that Saturdays, one, are religious observance days for others. And so we want to ensure that we are respecting everyone and their Sabbath time. And so we will look into that as well. But more importantly is that we have these contacts with each other. We are creating and monitoring a Facebook neighborhood captains group. This will be a way for you to share with each other. This will be a private group for neighborhood captains only. There will be an administrator and an editor. This is a nonpartisan organization. We are also interested in the office of the mayor of Cleveland, not who is going to be the mayor of Cleveland. And so anything that, although this race is nonpartisan, and so someone can say, well, I didn't post anything partisan, it's nonpartisan. If it favors or shares any information for one candidate over the other, it will be immediately removed. And if we have to do that consistently, you may be removed from the Facebook page. This is about voters and hearing what they want and the office of the mayor. And then this work will also continue work in the county. And so we want you all to be able to share and connect and post pictures and talk to each other in a way that allows that relationship, but also in a way that does not jeopardize the work that we're doing for voters to get the change that they want to see in their neighborhoods. Okay. All right. And so we have we're gonna actually break off. I'm gonna try. The issue we have with the role playing it out is that we cannot send the sample script to you all through email. So if you
Should I
have,
stop recording? Excuse me, should I stop recording?
yes.
Okay.